Hello everyone, it's Elaine. Thank you for joining me here today on my YouTube channel. This is the card I'm going to be creating today. Tons of texture and tons of shimmer. So let's get started. I've taken a piece of watercolour card here and I'm applying these pixie powders in 3 different colours. I'm just tapping those on. Candy pink, purple violet and emerald green. And I spotted these in my local craft shop and wanted to give them a try, but I think there are similar products on the market. I think, is it Nuvo Shimmer Burst, I think is one. But these were in my local craft shop and I do like to support my local shop if I can. Even though I love buying online, I also like to support the local business. So that's why I've got these ones. These are the only colours I've got so far. But my first time playing with them, so if I like them maybe I'll be adding more to my collection. But I have sprayed that card panel with water and as you can see the colour has burst out, and I'm now taking a tissue and dabbing up some of the colour where the green and the red have mixed and the colour's gone a little bit muddy, so I just find dabbing up that excess colour and water with a tissue works fine. Just working through these colours just to get them to soak up in different areas to add more texture and dimension. I use my heat tool to speed up the drying process but also to help the colours move around a little. I'm now adding on a little bit more colour. I believe this is the emerald green. Just again spritzing that with some water out of my mini mister. Heat setting that again. I like the harsh lines. I think that makes it look quite water-like, which is what I'm going for today. Adding a bit more purple up in that top area and let that dry. And once I'm happy with that, I'm taking the dye from the Best Fishies banner and border die set. And there you can see how shimmery those powders look. And now I'm taking this wonderful wave stencil. I'm going to be using the bubbles section of the stencil. And I've just taped that down with some post-it tape and blue painter's tape, and I'm taking my favourite Nuvo Glimmer paste in Moonstone, and I'm just using a palette knife to smush that through the holes. You don't need too much, just want a nice smooth spread over that stencil. Just going to remove that, rinse my stencil off, and you can start to see where those bubbles are. Leave that to dry, and I've taken a card base here. I think I'll have on the screen the exact size of my card base. It's slightly different from an A2 sized card. And with that frame, I'm popping some 3mm double-sided adhesive on the back of the frame and then popping that onto my card base. Just securing that down. And then once my first set of bubbles have dried, I'm going in and I've moved that stencil along and I'm now popping some more bubbles. And I will repeat this process 3 or 4 times so that the whole card front is covered in bubbles using that Nuvo Glimmer paste. So there you can see the shimmer and shine. Taking some white gouache here onto an acrylic block. Just need a small amount. I'm just loosening that up with some water. I have an old paintbrush here and I'm just gently tapping on a few ink splatters. Just wanted to add a bit more dimension, a bit more interest to the card. So you don't need very many. And now I can move on to my images. So I'm using Time for Tea Design Swimming by to Say Hi stamp set today. I've got my Strathmore Bristol Smooth cardstock here in my mini Misti. I've treated it with my anti-static powder tool, stamping those images with VersaFine Onyx Black ink. Coated those with clear embossing powder and then just heating those with my heat tool. Because I'm going to be colouring these images with my Zig Clean Colour Real Brush markers. I've mainly used pinks and purples, my kind of go-to colours, but I also thought that would look quite nice with the colours of my background. Just using some browns here for her skin. I will have all the colours I've used listed down in the description box below. I have picked up some new colours recently, so I'm excited to use those. And I'm blending the colours out, sometimes with a bit of water, but a lot of the time I will just use the different markers to colour and blend out into different colours. Just tapping off the excess ink on my brush. Just blending all those colours together. Going in with some browns here for her hair. And just using those lines of the stamped images to help me create some flicks and make the hair look as realistic as possible. I'm not perfect at colouring hair, especially with my zigs, but I do think the way the images are stamped really help that. Just some blue on that shell there, and I've blended that one out with my Nuvo Shimmer pen. Popping some more shimmer pen onto the images as well. Adding some more flicks to her hair. And then my images are pretty much coloured. So if you've watched my videos before, you may have seen me do this technique, but I'm just using my quickie glue pen here to add some dots of glue to her scales. A couple on her little bikini top, a couple of dots of glue on that shell, and also on the fish's scales, and a couple of sort of lines of glue onto the fish's fins there. And I set that aside to dry for about 10 minutes. It goes tacky, and then just apply some foil over the top of those areas, and the foil sticks to the glue dots. You do want to make sure that your dots are set aside for about 10 minutes. If you do it too soon, you will just end up smushing the glue and the foil doesn't pick up and it looks a bit messy. So be patient and wait for your glue dots to dry. It's a fun technique, and I especially like doing this with the Mermaid stamps. Here I've got the coordinating dies, and I've just run those through my die cut machine. And I'm now just popping some foam tape on the back of the panel. It did get quite warped from the heat and the water that I applied, so this foam tape should help flatten it out as much as possible. Just secure that down. Now I can move on to my sentiment. I've just got some Tim Holtz watercolour card here, and I've got these in my stash. I just pull them out when I need some coloured card. I've inked these up with all different kinds of distress inks. This one I believe is shaded lilac, and I'm just stamping out a sentiment from the stamp set. I've used my VersaFine Onyx Black ink, clear embossing powder, and then heat set that with my heat tool, and then trimming that out with my Fiskars paper trimmer. The second part of the sentiment is going to say hi, and this is inked up on some picked raspberry distress ink paper there, and again heat set that with my heat tool and cut that out with a coordinating die. Securing all these little elements down with my Nuvo liquid adhesive. I did pop an acrylic block and then something on top to help them adhere, because there is quite a lot of texture on this card panel. So popping that acrylic block and then something on top just to help secure everything down. To further embellish my card, I've taken these super sparkly, pretty pink posh, sparkling clear jewels. I thought they added to the texture and helped create some more bubble type effect. And just using my glossy accents here and my quick stick tool just to make sure they stuck down nice and well. I probably wouldn't mail this card. I'd probably make sure that I hand delivered it, just to make sure those jewels don't fall off. Pop some more Nuvo shimmer pen onto the sentiment, and then my card for today is finished. It's super shiny, super sparkly, tons of texture, and I really love how it turned out. Thank you so much for joining me today. All of the products used I will have listed and linked down in the description box below. Thank you also for all your comments, your likes and all your support. It really does mean so much, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.